Hello, thank you for being a part of our network. TEDx Soweto took place on Saturday. They invited a lot of speakers doing work in digital spaces. We'll get into that later in the program. There are also accusations and explanations needed from America on their alleged spying, and President Barack Obama's phone can't be tapped apparently. Is it for security or privacy infringement? That's another discussion we'll have in a bit. SABC Network on Twitter and Facebook, News Network on email, News Network at sabc.co.za rather on email. Let's start with technology and social media news. Vodacom has finally announced it's in exclusive negotiations to acquire Neotel. Vodacom's plan to purchase Telkom's only competitor has been the worst-kept secret in South Africa's telecommunications industry. Buidumelo Gaza tells us about it.
Vodacom's announcement has ended months of speculation. When we here at Network invited them to discuss the plan to acquire Neotel back in August, they declined the invitation. The exclusive talks revolve around Vodacom taking a 100% stake in Neotel, whose other shareholders include Communitel and Nexus Connection. Neotel is one of only 2 landline operators in South Africa, the other being Telkom. Speculation puts the deal value between 5 billion and 10 billion rand. Vodacom controls 50% of South Africa's mobile phone network market. As a result of this, the proposed deal is likely to attract close regulatory scrutiny given Vodacom's size in the market.
The first digital planetarium in sub-Saharan Africa has opened in Bloemfontein. The multi-million rand project is aimed at providing the best possible facility for the advancement of science and astronomy in South Africa. Richard Newton has the details.
This unassuming and slightly odd-looking building on a hill in Bloem may not look like much, but inside it holds amazing pictures from deep in outer space to deep under the oceans, and pretty much everything in between. Unlike other planetariums, it's not limited to scenes of the night sky, but can open a door into almost any world for inquiring minds, young and old, to explore.
Learners at school will be inspired with the amazing visuals, hopefully to take serious interest in maths and science.
The schools will be a very special focus. It's one of the most important aims of the planetarium to generate enthusiasm for the sciences.
With state-of-the-art equipment and cooperation agreements with international universities, the 3D digital images are likely to wow more than just aspiring scientists.
Our tourists would come here and see the beauty of science and technology. As they do that, we'll be enhancing our tourism attraction, our economic development.
So, from stargazing to ocean floors, this multi-million rand venture is sure to be a hit, with those keen to learn more and those who just wish they were there. The planetarium is a joint venture between the Free State University, the Department of Science and Technology, and various Free State departments.
There's an iPhoneography exhibition taking place in the iPhone store in Sandton, Johannesburg. Entries came from ordinary South Africans who use their iPhones to take photographs.
iPhoneography is the art of taking professional-looking photographs using your iPhone or iPad. Some then exhibit their images to the general public. According to iStore South Africa, this is a big international trend that is also gaining momentum in this country. So much so that the iStore has been running competitions for iPhoneographers for 3 years.
Anybody who's basically ever taken a picture on their iPhone is able to enter the exhibition and just give people opportunities to display some of their work. And we've seen some really great stuff coming out of that this year.
The popularity of iPhoneography is simple to explain. They say the iPhone camera guarantees good quality images.
iPhone is in fact the most used camera in the world, according to Flickr. In fact, the most number of uploads online, the number 1, the number 2, and the camera that comes third is in fact an iPhone.
The winners will be announced on closing night of the exhibition on 14th November. The Cape Town leg kicks off on this coming Thursday.
Samsung Electronics in West Africa has announced that Nigeria will become the largest consumer of smartphones in Africa in the next year. Of course, this comes as no surprise as there are a number of factors that count in Nigeria's favor. Network's Dile Kaswane explains.
There are already more than 4 million people in Nigeria that are using smartphones. This number is expected to hit the 25 million mark by the year 2016. It is for this reason Samsung Electronics in West Africa is predicting that 40% of all smartphone sales expected in Africa in 2014 would be sold in Nigeria. This will make Nigeria the largest consumer of total smartphone sales in Africa, overtaking South Africa. South Africa currently has over 10 million active smartphones. There are multiple factors that count in Nigeria's favor. Some of these are the country's population size, which is predicted to be around 160 million people and counting. The country also has a large economy that is growing rapidly. However, the popularity of smartphones is not a uniquely Nigerian phenomenon. Smartphones account for 60% of all mobile phones shipped worldwide. Last year, the number of smartphones in the global market hit the 1 billion mark.
Google and a few mobile phone manufacturers are being sued by the company that owns Neotel patents. The company is co-owned by opposition mobile phone manufacturers. If they are successful, then Google's core business will have to be altered in a serious way. The lawsuit is in a Texas court in the United States of America.
The group that owns thousands of former Neotel patents has filed a barrage of lawsuits. These are against cell phone manufacturers, including Google, the company it outbid in the Neotel bankruptcy auction. Rockstar bought the Neotel patents for 45 billion rands. Google is accused of infringing 7 patents, including one for the search engine's core business. The patent covers technology that helps match internet search terms with relevant advertising. The consortium is also suing Samsung, HTC, Huawei, and other 4 companies for patent infringement. Samsung, Huawei, and HTC all manufacture phones that operate on Google's Android operating system, which competes fiercely with Apple and Microsoft mobile products. Rockstar is jointly owned by Apple, Microsoft, BlackBerry, Ericsson, and Sony.
Bitcoins, the online currency we heard about when it was used to purchase drugs on a website called Silk Road, now has ATM machines.
This coffee shop in Canada has installed a new ATM machine, except the coins you deal with here is the currency used only in the internet in the past. It means Bitcoins are now transcending from just an online currency to the real world. Unlike ordinary automated bank tellers, the Bitcoin ATM has hand and barcode scanners. This makes it possible for customers to swipe their Bitcoins for real dollars. The machine's launch on Tuesday saw scores of people queuing up to get their Bitcoins exchanged.
In the last week, a new planet was discovered. There was a debut of a prototype space taxi and India's satellite launch announcement. Big Space Week this was.
A planet the same size as the very one we live in was discovered by astronomers using the Kepler Space Telescope. Scientists say that the planet known as Kepler 78b carries a lot of similarities to the Earth. This discovery is a key step in an ongoing quest to find potentially habitable sister worlds. Meanwhile, a space taxi prototype was taken for a flight test at Edwards Air Force Base in California. The space plane aced the test, but with a shaky landing. This caused the taxi some serious damage, which engineers are still assessing. Another test is in 2014. While California is preparing for 2014's test flight, India is launching into Mars.
Actually, we are picking up countdown at T-minus 56.5 hours on 3rd of November at 0608, aiming for a launch of 5th November evening. For flight is concerned, it has to travel for 270 days. So all systems, including the propellant system, should work on all these days till it reaches the Mars orbiter for experiments to conduct.
The second Digital Fashion Week is underway in Singapore. It's a concept that those participating wish that can be used by fashion weeks around the world.
The Digital Fashion Week in Singapore brings the latest fashion to consumers in real time and online. Viewers worldwide are able to watch the runway show live and make instant purchases. Then their orders will reach them in a matter of weeks. British supermodel Naomi Campbell is impressed by the concept.
I'm part of the digital, what's the aspect that's digital and it's live, and that anyone can go on YouTube and see what's happening throughout this whole fashion week is amazing. I hope that all the fashion weeks around the world will become live in this way.
A local boutique owner says she enjoyed being able to buy the clothes instantly.
I shop online quite a lot. It's good that they have the link and then you can click on it and then you can, it's easy, it's easily accessible.
In its second year running, Digital Fashion Week ends on Monday. Next year, the organizers hope to launch the same format in Thailand and China.
It's SABC Network on Twitter and Facebook. Find us there.
Hello, Africa, and welcome to this week's episode of Kaleidoscope. We'll be sampling the creme de la creme of entertainment, arts and culture, lifestyle, and travel. So stay tuned as we bring you the beauty, sights, and sounds of Africa.
That's Kaleidoscope, Sundays 5:30 p.m. on SABC News, Channel 404.
This is Media Monitor, a show that monitors and evaluates some of your major stories from throughout the week, as well as on your Sunday newspaper headlines. Join me every Sunday morning between 9 and 10 a.m. with repeat broadcasts every Monday at 2 a.m. right here on DSTV 404.
Welcome back. Now, remember how President Barack Obama of the United States used his BlackBerry to successfully campaign for the U.S. presidency. That phone was to be later classified a security risk after he had gone into the White House. He still has the phone, but now it has been worked on, so you can't tap into it easily.
Hi, this is Barack Obama. Can you hear me?
Mobile communication has made the world move at a more rapid pace. People are constantly on their phones, either talking, texting, or emailing. These are the very tools that U.S. President Barack Obama used to run his successful election campaign. Upon taking up the presidency seat, Mr. Obama was told to give up his BlackBerry. This request did not sit well with the president, who later insisted that the barriers be broken. The White House staff figured out a way to keep the president's mobile communication secret. So unlike the rest of us, Mr. Obama's BlackBerry cannot be easily tracked by just anyone. While the average cell phone user's information can be easily shared through the base station that transfers signals from an individual's phone to a network operator, the U.S. head of state's caller ID remains a mystery. The question is, how do they do it?
Now, be a part of our network on SABC Network on Twitter and Facebook. Well, to try and give us an answer to that question is a digital guru and former hacker Seth Mbele, who is a high priest at Digital Voodoo. Hello and welcome.
How are you?
I'm all right. Now, earlier in the week, we heard that Barack Obama's phone cannot be tapped. Why is that?
I think the United States has gone into quite a bit of effort to make sure that their president, especially, is kept fairly secure in terms of his communication as well as who he talks to and what he's got to say. From a security perspective, I think there's almost no doubt that the United States is one of the most security-conscious countries on the planet. We've heard that they've been spying on certain heads of state, but they want to make sure that that doesn't happen to their president.
Now, why can't his be tapped? Or technically, why it can't be tapped when other people's phones can be tapped?
Technically, it's not that it can't be tapped, it's just a little bit more difficult. His phone is not actually on a conventional telephone network. His phone is connected to a secure server, which is then connected to a satellite. So, for example, if I was to call Mr. Obama, I would have to be vetted earlier on and put on that network, and then we'll be able to communicate directly.
Okay, so his phones are a complete secret.
His phones are a complete secret. Hardly anyone knows his email address. Hardly anyone knows his phone number. It'll be extremely difficult to hack and track him down.
All right, we heard about German Chancellor Angela Merkel's phone or phone calls being tracked. And so this is something that doesn't happen all over the world, or does it? Can, let's say, President Jacob Zuma of South Africa, for example, or Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, can their phones be tapped, or is it, are they seen as a security risk like Obama's phone as well?
I think, to be honest, there's a little bit of a grey area in terms of international legislation. There is no international legislation that specifically governs what a country can do to another country in terms of international espionage. So, for example, if there's a terrorist or a terror suspect in South Africa, for example, South Africa can request the United States to track Spumelele, for example, without having to go through the red tape of getting a court order in SA. So when you're looking at that, you find that there is no legislation that governs it, so our president could be at risk.
But a phone is not just about making phone calls, is it?
No, definitely not. I mean, in the age of smartphones, I think in your previous insert you had said that we've now got 10 million smartphone users in South Africa. A smartphone is an integrated communication device. You can receive phone calls, text messages, browse the internet, and your emails. And obviously, all of those touch points would be areas that do need to be sufficiently secured.
And as citizens, how can we then ensure that somebody doesn't, because if they gain access to my phone, then obviously they can possibly gain access to my email address and my social media pages and my other things that I use the phone for, really.
That's quite correct. I mean, probably the most prevalent thing that will happen on your smartphone is that you'll get phishing attacks. For example, you'll have a link that you do not know that comes through on your email, maybe claiming to be from your bank. You click through on a link and they then gain access to your information. I think as citizens, we need to be particularly careful about which websites you go to, where you submit your information and what kind of information you submit. Your passwords have to be quite strong, and try to keep your passwords fairly separate. You know, don't have the same password for your email as your online banking, as your Facebook, as your Twitter.
And the technicalities of how an average transmission works, and how, let's say, you as a hacker, maybe going back a bit, how you as a hacker can gain Spumelele Zondi's information apart from sending me a link.
I think it's basically a technique in terms of how you search for information. A lot of people, or you will find that they're not very careful about what information they've got online. If you just do a simple Google search, you will find certain information about someone's Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. Now, to a trained mind, you are able to connect the dots and try to find where the parallels are, and probably find one area where there's a potential security breach, and then you can gain access to the whole network.
Well, Seth Mbele, former hacker and high priest at Digital Voodoo, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Remember, it's News Network at sabc.co.za on email, SABC Network on Twitter and Facebook. We'll be back.
Good afternoon, you're watching the news at 1. In the headlines, thousands gathered to commemorate the first anniversary of the Marikana massacre.
The ANC and the National Union of Mine Workers are boycotting the anniversary. Zwelinzima Vavi was a target of this conspiracy.
There is no political conspiracy even on this matter.
That's News at 1. Weekdays at 1 p.m. on SABC News, Channel 404.
world on DSTV channel 404. Let's take a look at stories making headlines.
Unfortunately, most of the deaths occur in children in sub-Saharan Africa. And so the original focus and the continued focus of this vaccine is on preventing that disease and death.
What happens when you stop by an official who turns out to be, well, the president?
We're checking license.
Okay.
Is it fine and valid?
This stand is the biggest stand in Nairobi show. Of course, we have won the best foreign private exhibitor.
And that was Your World on SABC News, 404 on DSTV.
Remember to find us on SABC Network on Twitter and Facebook. Now, TEDx Soweto was held on Saturday, 2 November. Among the speakers, there was a gaming specialist, a blogger, a YouTube evangelist, and a digital laser inventor. If you missed it, the videos are up on TEDxSoweto.co.za. Joining us in the studio to discuss TEDx Soweto is Itateng Kubu. Hello and welcome. Itateng Mukhoro. Sorry,
Yes.
sir. That's actually the person that you're organizing with,
That's right,
who has the surname Kubu.
Yes.
Now, what goes into organizing such an event?
What?
What goes into organizing such an event?
Sleepless nights, lots of coffee, and lots of crazy phone calls, and it takes years actually to get to a point where you're able to produce the kind of quality that I think we produced yesterday.
Why did you decide to bring TEDx to Soweto? Because it happens all over the world.
Yeah. Well, you know, ideas are what drives societies, economies, and civilizations. And we want to be part of a country that can host these sort of things, you know, where ideas are celebrated. And why not Soweto?
And gaming, digital laser inventor, a blogger. How did you decide on the speakers that are going to be there?
You know, firstly, we've got, you know, incredible people in South Africa, and we don't often find them and celebrate them, you know. You watch the news, we celebrate very different kinds of people. We therefore have to go through life with a notebook and a pen in hand, and that's really how we find our speakers. We watch the media, we listen to radio, we search the internet with the pen in hand.
What were some of your highlights?
22 speakers yesterday, 22 highlights for me.
Seriously?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, but let's go to the blogger. Now, he started a blog called, is it Zulu Girl Diaries?
Diary of a Zulu Girl.
Diary of a Zulu Girl.
That's right.
Now, it has over 30 million hits worldwide. Big in South Africa, big on the continent, big in Europe, big all over the world, really.
That's right.
Tell us about him and what he spoke about.
Well, he's an amazing guy to begin with. And the crazy thing about him is that he can literally speak on anything at any moment. And that's really how he writes his blog. And he was telling us about his process, how he actually got to a point where he's able to attract that kind of attention. In fact, what he says is that he never intended to write the blog. It was a joke initially. You know, he was making a joke on his friend, and then he put it up on the internet. Next thing that happened is that 1 million people read the blog in a week. And from there, it just shot up, and now we have 33 million hits around the country.
Well, to millions of bloggers out there, maybe it's saying to them that you can start a blog that can be really, really successful and get millions and millions of hits. And I loved Farron Roper's discussion as well.
He was amazing.
He was amazing. Now, tell us about him. He spoke a lot about mobile phone advertising.
Yeah. Well, you know, his background is he used to run the team responsible for many of the innovations that made FNB, the bank, the most innovative bank in the world. He's broken off and he's gone on to work on his own entrepreneurial enterprise. But he was talking about the 5 most important points to take into account if you want to create a winning digital strategy, addressing enterprises specifically.
All right, so there's Pipa Chabalala, there's Sandile, who also invented the digital laser. We can talk about a lot of things, but what can we expect in the next TEDx? There's another one that you're organizing in Johannesburg.
There's one coming up on the 6th of December. This one is TEDx Johannesburg Women. We have a lineup of 10 fantastic, amazing women doing great work in South Africa. The theme is Invented Here. So TEDx Johannesburg Women, Invented Here.
invented here.
That's right. It's inspired by Silicon Valley.
All right, Iteteng Mohoro, thank you very much for joining us to talk about TEDx Soweto. And it was trending on Twitter as well yesterday.
It totally was.
Nice one.
Thank you.
Now, if you want to watch TEDx Soweto, you can find videos on tedxsoweto.co.za. You can do this once network is over. Only a few minutes to go now. Here's what else has been happening in social media. In South Africa, the ruling African National Congress, ANC Secretary General Gwede Mantashe, has been giving a public lecture in Carltonville. Some have been tweeting about the lecture. South Africa's Orlando Pirates and Egypt's Al Ahly played to a 1-1 draw in the CAF Champions League final first leg on Saturday night. People have been sharing their views on the match in social media, with this Facebook user asking whether Orlando Pirates will win the second leg and bring the cup back to Soweto. Parts of Africa and the Middle East have experienced a solar eclipse. Various social media users have shared their excitement. Some have tips on how they think one can best view the eclipse. A few of these have been really funny. We play out with a very popular video from Saudi Arabia by social activist Hisham Fake. It was posted in the last week on YouTube protesting the ban on women driving in the kingdom. As part of this, as of this afternoon rather, the video had been watched over 9 million times. It's No Woman, No Drive. Find it on YouTube. Conversation don't have to stop here. SABC Network on Twitter and Facebook, News Network at sabc.co.za, an email from me and the rest of the team. Have a good one.
Say I remember when you used to sit in the family car, the back seat. Over is so safe and well, so you can make lots and lots of babies. Good friends we've had and good friends we've lost on the highway. In this bright future, you can't forget your past.
The person who had fought with Stompy, you always saw them with a small little doom piece all over their faces.